Welcome to the Mike on Much podcast. I'm your host, Mike Veerman. I'm here with my friend and trusted producer, Max Kerman. Also here with our pop culture aficionado, Shane Cunningham. Erica's not with us, fellas.
She's on vacay.
Vacay to end the summer. I guess the summer's over.
So sad.
That's it. First order of business. This Friday, as we say on the last few episodes, there will be an episode of The Pedestal being released. I'm not sure which movie it's going to be, but it's going to be one of the 10 of season 2. Check that out. Also, go over to the Pedestal feed if you want to see all of the movies that are currently up on there. We're going to be recording some new ones soon, I think, as well. There was some talk of...
We already did record The Matrix.
That's right.
Which hasn't been released. And then I think we're doing Scarface.
Yes. I'm not looking forward to watching Scarface. It feels like a slog to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've even said as much in our text group with John and Shane. But maybe we'll be doing some Adam Sandler stuff, too. We were just discussing that yesterday.
It's funny. I was just walking here today, obviously, and a woman... confronted me on the street. She talked about the Pedestal briefly. That's why I bring it up. But
wait, she stopped like she was a listener?
Yeah, a pod fan. Like,
did she confront you or just say hello?
Well, she approached me. she was like kind of like Elaine from Seinfeld.
Okay.
In the fact that she doesn't care if she just pushes you as an introduction. So she goes, "Hey," and I
Shane just pushed me.
Everywhere. I thought I was in trouble. So I go, "Ah," and I'm wearing my noise canceling headphones. So I went, "Ah." I go, "Ah." I'm like kind of like was scared a little bit. She's like, "I have to talk to you." She goes, "Where are you going? Where are you going?" And I go, "Oh, I'm just going to record the pod." But she didn't hear that. She thought I was going to work. She goes, "I'm coming with you to work." And she grabs me and starts walking with me. She's like, "I am the biggest fan. Your biggest."
Oh, she's a Shaniac.
A Shaniac.
Oh, to put it lightly, she's a Shaniac. This was like how you would define Shaniac, because she was literally had a manic energy that was like so infectious. Like it was making me feel so good. She's like, I know everything. I know everything. She goes, when I started listening to the podcast, hated the desserts. She's like, still don't. She's like, desserts, fuck them. She's like, the Pedestal, hate it. And she goes, when Max and Mike are just on, it sucks. And,
wow.
Yeah. Oh, that's not funny then, eh? Everyone stops laughing. Yeah. But she's like, but when it's you three together, she's like, it is the best.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
And she just went on about like how endearing we were and everything. And I was like, "Oh, are you a Max fan?" And she was like, made like a face like she was disgusted. She was like, "Ugh." She's like, "Oh, Max needs you guys," and was like, all
wow.
Wasn't the point of her pep talk that we all need each other?
I guess in a way, yeah. But I think the point also was to pump me up, because she got the feeling like I'm insecure and I'm kind of an introverted person.
Yeah.
So she was like really like pumping me up.
What's her name?
Her name is Kathleen.
Okay.
And it was like the whole usual paradigm of pod fan shifted in the sense that usually I'm last on the docket. Here I was the Max on the pedestal, oddly enough. And then it was like Mike, and then very far down Max.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man.
It was amazing.
That was this morning?
Yeah, it was about 15 minutes out of the day. I'd never experienced any energy like this, just like so positive and violent in a way, like in touchy, and like I didn't know how to hug her because she was like
shoving you around.
Yeah, like
an extreme Shaniac.
It was extreme, and it was very cool. And she seemed also sane too. Like she was like a woman who had like a job in the industry.
Okay.
So it wasn't just like some person who's unhinged. You know what I mean?
Of course.
It was that good balance of fan you would like.
Yeah. Well, Kathleen, thank you for listening. I apologize for those episodes where it's just Max and I.
And the desserts. Hey, like she was even like she was being so real about what she didn't like.
Yeah.
It added extra credence to the things she did like.
Well, there's something very Shane about that. Just being bluntly honest.
Yeah, and I really appreciate it.
On that note, actually, I put out an Instagram story and a tweet asking, where are you guys from? Because when you're in a rock and roll band, you get a sense of like who your fans are, because you go on tour and you go, okay, this many people seem to like us in Vancouver, and this many people seem to like us in LA or whatever. But when we do a podcast, we really have no clue where people are from.
Yeah.
And the responses were incredible, like, and it's very surprising. I mean, I kind of assumed there'd be a lot of people just in the GTA that are friends of ours or whatever that listen to the pod, but it was really a diverse list. Memphis, San Diego, Atlanta, Stratford, Halifax, Sudbury, St. John, Newfoundland, St. John's, New Brunswick, St. John's, Newfoundland, St. John, New Brunswick.
Gotta get that right.
Yep. Edmonton, Sylvan Lake, Alberta, Helsinki, Chicago, Winnipeg, Vancouver. Anyway, this is all to say I'm blown away, and thank you so much for listening. It was so cool.
It blew my mind when I saw all those places, and it also made me feel like, hey, I feel like we have a couch to crash in so many cities around the world.
We're coming for you.
Yeah,
honestly. So thanks
it was
everybody
just
for listening.
Great Twitter question, because sometimes I'll try to engage and I'll be like, "What's your favorite color?" And then one person will say like blue, but you actually came up with a great question to ask, which got 111 responses.
Yeah, a lot of
for our
engagement.
Twitter. That's nuts. That's unprecedented.
Yeah.
and also, and the DMs on the Instagram, the messaging and all that, like it literally, you just couldn't. It was just kept, the inbox was constantly full, like of people, and there is something about, I think people just have pride in where they're from.
Yeah.
So there's something really cool, like you want to engage with that, where you ask, hey, where are you from? As a listener, it's like, I'm proud. It's like, I'm from Hamilton. You know, you touched on something that means something to people and something that they'll engage with.
Well, and it's a lot of people who don't typically engage in Twitter. They're like, I don't want to type more than a sentence or put my thoughts or feelings necessarily out there in the world. It's a very easy, concise thing to engage with.
Yeah.
If you typically don't. But then I became like addicted to it. So I'm like, we got to think of another question. And then it's like, where do you listen to the pod?
And
then,
that didn't get as many.
No, I got like 17. And I wanted to ask people how tall they were. Like I was trying to think of very easy questions. But anyway.
So another thing that's been going on, Max, you just moved back to Hamilton. Speaking of places where you're from, you are there full time now. You're in your place. Did you commute here this morning?
No, actually, I have to go do some driving around. So I came in last night, stayed at my folks' place in Toronto.
Oh,
I feel like you're very subdued today.
yeah. You feel,
Oh, really?
You feel
Yeah.
more tired.
Oh shit! Sorry,
I thought you
made
did.
the coffee.
Don't apologize.
Okay.
I just thought maybe it was due to the commute in, because like now I was just saying this to Danica last night. I was like, oh, now that Max is back, like our recording schedule might be a little bit topsy turvy. I'm now outnumbered 2-1.
Yeah,
by the Hamilton guys.
I think it's gonna have to go to more afternoons, because I don't know if I can do that many mornings, to be honest.
I'm at like your guys' mercy now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, it's been good to be back in Hamilton.
Did you get a ride back with my brother last night?
No, I have my parents' car. My parents are away.
Nice,
They're on vacation right now. But yeah, I had been renting to some friends at my house in Hamilton, not to get too in the weeds, but basically, well, speaking of weeds, the big issue at my house is that my front lawn had not been tended to. And when I say lawn, I mean literally it's just like
A patch.
a patch. It's a very much like a downtown Hamilton house, so it doesn't have a lot of space. But anyway, the weeds were kind of growing for probably a solid 9 months maybe, and totally untouched. And
So when you said get into the weeds, you meant that literally.
yeah, actually, yeah, it was like the one time it was not a figure of speech, but I think all the so when our friend Psycho was moving out of the house, because we were clearing out the house for Lauren and I to live in, our friends Jug, Sean, and Felix were there helping him move stuff. And then this woman, who I guess is a neighbor, came by and started berating them because they thought they lived in the house because the weeds were so bad.
Oh.
And then I don't know if she knew that the guy from the Arkells owns the house, or like Jug just told her, oh, this isn't my place, it's the guy from the Arkells. She said, this will sink his career if this gets out. That his lawn looks like, and Felix filmed it. And so then I immediately felt really bad. And I was like, how do I fix this? Because God knows I'm not doing any weeding whatsoever.
Was she serious when she said it's going to sink?
Yeah,
his career?
I saw the video footage. She was like, oh, this is going to be his like downfall. Yeah.
Do we have to edit this out?
Why would we?
I'm kidding.
So she's insinuating that because like you let your place go, that your fans would be like, oh my God, he's a terrible landlord.
Yeah, and just that he's just irresponsible, as a bad community member. And also the other thing is, I think people in Hamilton like think I'm like a billionaire or something like that. So it's just like really poor behavior on my part. But anyway, I was like, how do I solve this problem? And there's I live in Corktown, the neighborhood, and there's a Corktown message board, and I just threw it. I was like, who's got a teenager that I can just pay some money to do some weeding? And then a bunch of people.
Who's got a teenager's the subject heading?
When you go, I can, and there was a pause. It was like, what?
And then I got a bunch of responses, and some kid named Hannah came by, weeded. I e-transferred her the money. Never met her, but
How much we talking here?
well, this is the other thing. Is I was like, what do I pay her? So then I tweeted it. I said, what do you pay someone to weed kids? And I had a lot of funny answers. Someone said a 6-pack of Coors Light.
Oh man, that was me actually. I was looking for the
gonna
word.
say, was that you,
Yeah.
Mike? And somebody else said, like, give them weed for weed, which I thought was kind of funny. Again, everybody thinks I'm a millionaire, so people were like, $10 to $15 an hour. I gave them 20.
Is the expectation different because you're you?
Yeah, I think so. This is like, I feel like
Especially in Hamilton.
In Hamilton, it's like very like
You played the stadium. Of course, they're
Yeah.
going to think that you sold out Tim Hortons Field. They're gonna. I don't think that their thoughts are unfounded.
Oh no, of course, it totally makes sense that they think that. It's not quite the reality, but yeah, I feel like there's gonna be a lot of like Larry David kind of moments in Hamilton moving forward. Yeah.
What was the reaction when she? Oh, you didn't. It was an e-transfer.
Yeah,
you didn't get to see her face.
No, yeah.
That's the best way to do it.
Yeah, but Mike D actually just moved around the corner from me in Hamilton, and he just like walked by my place, and he's like, Max, you got some like teenagers like waiting for you outside, and then he like saw the tweet. He's like, Max is always scheming. Mike calls me Mike DeAngelis in our band. He calls me the best delegator in the game, which I think is so
I'd agree
true.
with that.
Yeah.
Do you own a lawnmower?
Hell no. I don't have enough space for a lawn. Like it's literally just some plants. It's very small.
So you're back.
I'm back.
I want to hear about the boat party though.
Oh.
Because the Nut.
As if people don't know by this point.
He was supposed to get a tattoo, which
We talked about this on the last podcast.
which I knew was not going to happen, and I know the answer to this, but just Max,
You knew it wasn't going to happen. Walk us through your thoughts. I thought he was going to do it. He was all gung ho
Mike,
at the.
every 3 months he's like, Shane, give me a list of your favorite tattoo artists. I'm like, Birchall, I don't go to good people. I just get really shitty tattoos. I'll get like a couple of cherries on my arm. Like, I'm not going to like the people who are amazing. I'm like, just go anywhere. It depends what style you want. He's like, come on, you know the best. Give me the cream of the crop, and then I'll give it to him. I'm like, what are you thinking of getting? He's like, I'm actually I'm getting the mom logo. So he's gonna get like essentially what's on our hat, and I'm like, oh, are you? He's like, yep, gonna do it next weekend. And then of course the next weekend never comes. That's the beauty of next weekend. So this tattoo, he's like, when we were out very briefly, he wasn't drinking, but he was like, tomorrow I'm getting a cactus holding machine gun. I'm like, of course you are. Who's doing that? And he's like, Lights. And then he's been posting photos of them hanging out. I guess they're going over the artwork or something, presumably. But I knew it wasn't.
I think Lights didn't bring her tattoo kit. I think it's simple as that.
Oh, okay.
I think
he had a different excuse.
Oh, okay. What was his excuse?
Well, he opened the conversation because I was going to leave him alone on his boat party. I wanted you to like live stream the tattoo, and I wanted to hear it organically. But he's like kind of roasting me. He's like, everyone's talking about how you're an asshole on the boat.
What?
I'm like,
whoa! The captain of the boat knew you?
I'm like, no, they're not. He's like, they are. And then he's like, but I love you, man. And he was like really, really messed up. I'm like, hey, how's the tattoo going? He's like, here's the thing about that. And he's like, and then he sends me this photo.
Okay.
He's like, I'll show you why I can't. And it honestly was a...
okay, this is part of the excuse too. You're right. I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, I'll show Mike. Have you seen this photo?
Yeah, that's crazy. Shane is showing a photo to...
Oh my God. The nut is insanely burnt.
Yeah.
Like this was before he got on the boat?
Yeah, so he went for a little swim the day before on his condo rooftop pool, and he got burned really badly.
And the thing is, the photo's actually funnier than Mike's reaction. The problem is just we've all seen it.
Yeah.
I wish like a third party came in.
Maybe we can post it. And also, everybody knows what like a funny picture of somebody who's like extremely burnt looks like.
Oh yeah, and you can see the tan lines because his underwear is kind of cropped. He's just standing here in his underwear, and he looks completely like red, like a lobster, except for just the parts at the top of his underwear and at the top of his legs where he scrunched his underwear up. But yeah, he looks pretty good though.
Yeah, that's what I was like. I was like, oh my God, you're in amazing shape.
Yeah,
like I just ignored the burn,
yeah.
and I was like, the only thing you're burning is calories. But he thanks, Mike.
I liked it.
Thank you. But he does, like the only reason I think he sent me this, I think it was like 40% burn, 60% look how good
look at my bod. Yeah.
And it is very impressive.
He's gonna love this so much, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I think he'll let us post it because he looks so good, and I think he won't let us post it because I said that. No,
sure.
Yeah,
so it won't get posted. So our listeners will not get to see this photo of the nut on our Instagram.
Only because
there's so much reverse
that.
psychology going on. I don't know which side we're at right now.
I have no idea.
Yeah. But so this boat idea ended up being pretty cool. And Mike, I laughed at you on the last podcast because you were talking about you wanted to get a boat. Danica laughed at you.
Heck yeah.
I went on a boat. Love a boat,
right?
Yeah. See, I've never yearned or craved a boat before, but manager Ash put together this little boat party. Basically, I think it's like $100 an hour, and you can rent a sweet like speedboat, basically.
Heck yeah!
That goes around Toronto Island. It was Labor Day weekend, so like the plane show was going, and we had a group of like 12 of us. Lights was there. Jer, who works in the office, was there. And basically, here's the thing. I was moving that day, and so you probably shouldn't plan to go to a boat party when you're moving
Makes
all your
sense.
shit from Toronto to Hamilton. But the night before, I had told manager Ash the whole time, I was like, I think I'm going to try to come to this boat party. I think I'm going to try to come. But I was sort of monitoring how our pack was going, and also we paid for movers and we paid for those frog boxes. So the night before, all of our packing was done. So I said to Lauren, I'm like, Lauren, I had this idea to go party on a boat tomorrow. And she was like, are you fucking kidding me? But anyway, she ended up coming too. At the best time, we could only stay for an hour.
How many teenagers did you hire to help?
No, we hired professional movers.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I was just kidding, but.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, honestly, just throwing money.
Movers
at all my
ain't
problems.
cheap.
No, but it was worth it. It was fucking
Always
so
worth it. Okay, so when you only stay for an hour, does that mean you went out for an hour and made the boat bring you back?
That's
to the
exactly
dock?
what I did.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is some special treatment.
Yeah, it was great. But the funny thing is that so everybody like got into it immediately. Everybody was like having a great old party on a boat, and then I didn't drink because I had to drive the car back to Hamilton because we had to meet the movers there, and then I came back to drop the car off. I was using my parents' car, and I got back, and everybody was it was a real gong show. Everybody had a great time on the boat. And so we got to do it next summer.
Well, I think everyone loves a boat, especially something about a Labor Day boat ride is just
And
cooler.
seeing the city is also
beautiful.
totally underrated. Like, we spend so much time in Toronto, but when you're at Center Island or you're going around that area on a boat, it looks incredible.
I just don't know if everyone wants to own a boat. Because it's like, yeah, you had fun for the hour on the catamaran or whatever, and you're having drinks, and you're...
This is my cottage theory. I have no interest in owning a cottage. I just
Yeah.
want friends with a cottage.
So here's the thing. I have no interest in owning a cottage either.
But you got Randall.
Exactly. I was at a cottage for this Labor Day long
That's
weekend.
what made it so weird about the boat to you. Because I've never met someone who doesn't hate cottages, but doesn't want to own a cottage.
Yeah.
But really wants to own a boat. To me, that's weird.
So a cottage, in order to go and enjoy your cottage, first of all, it's a home. You have to furnish it. You have to maintain it. There's a lot going on. Now you'd say, yeah, you might have to do that with a boat as well if you want a certain type of boat. The thing is, if I want to go, I'm practicing myself for Danica, by the way. So the thing,
I'm just imagining the size of this boat where you're furnishing it. But
oh yeah, I want
Okay.
a legit boat,
like a houseboat, kind of.
maybe one step lower, but I have looked into the pricing on houseboats too.
Okay.
Anyway, so I'm actually planning for my eventual divorce. This is where I'm going to live. No, I'm kidding. Hopefully, so a cottage is you have to go 3 hours away. So I was at a cottage up in the Muskoka area over the long weekend with my family, with Randall, our friend. It was awesome way to spend a long weekend. But it's just that's a lot of work. You got to leave the city. You have to time it so you're not stuck in traffic. You have to come home on a Sunday night or whatever, and you're like, oh, and then work starts.
Fucking nightmare.
It is. It really is a lot. And it's if a friend owns it, it's oh, this is worth it for this. But if that, in order to get your money's worth out of a cottage, you have to go up almost every weekend. And they do. They are cottage people, our friends Randall and Danielle. They love cottages. That is what they do. My idea of having a boat is it's downtown Toronto or downtown Hamilton. So it's let's start the evening on the boat after work at 5. Let's have drinks. When the sun goes down, let's go to a bar.
So in your boat vision,
Yeah.
do you see the boat as being docked more than it's being ridden?
I'd say it's half and half. Mm-hmm. So it's I would use it. I would use it the way that people say they're going to use a cottage. If not every week, on a Wednesday night, it's oh, hey, want to take a meeting? Come to the boat. Come to the boat. We'll get some takeout, whatever. We'll sit in the dock because I'm going to be drinking. I'm not going to drive the boat, so we'll just sit in the dock. And then on times where it's oh, let's bring the family out. Then I'll be the guy that brings everyone around the Toronto Island so that you can have your drinks. Bring
You're going to be the sober guy driving the boat.
You got it.
I do not picture that happening.
Yeah. So anyway, that would be in theory. That's what I want. And by the way, a lot of people have been DMing me and responding to the last episode about my dream for a boat, saying it's not crazy. Stick to your dreams. I love boats. Continue to be a boatman. Don't give up. So I want to thank people for those positive messages.
Well, listen, I'm looking for friends with cottages, friends with boats. So I don't have a friend with a boat, or at least a local handy boat. So you can be my friend in that.
I can be that
in
guy.
Category. Yep.
We'll see. I'll keep looking. I was looking at some more prices. Again, it's pretty damn pricey. And again, yeah, marina fees, man.
Damn.
They're no joke. But anyway, anything else been going on? I mean, my daughter Winona went into daycare. We're transitioning her. So yesterday was the first day that we dropped her at the daycare.
Tears?
Yeah, man. Well, so she was cool. Like, so there's all these like other little kids, kind of like, you know, doing their thing in her age group,
pooping, peeing.
they weren't doing that. Maybe, and they're wearing diapers. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't tell. I can tell when my own daughter's doing that just from her facial expression. But I don't know when other kids are doing it. But so we go in, and basically because we're transitioning, they're like, one of the parents can like hang out for like an hour or however long, and then go away. And we're like, oh, you know, Winnie's gonna be maybe clingy. We don't know. The minute we get in there, she wants to be put on the ground, and she runs to like the little jungle gym, like the little kid jungle, and she's like playing in the tunnel and all that. And I was like, oh, this is like really nice. It's kind of made it very easy. So anyway, at this moment, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna go. But Dan, you stay. I gotta go to work. So I leave to go to work, and I throw in that song because I'd been playing. I was playing. Sometimes in the mornings, I'll play like the acoustic guitar for Winnie, and I'll just sort of like strum chords and make up little stupid songs like Winnie, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was on C, and so I started playing that song, "Do You Realize," by the Flaming Lips, and So then it was kind of in my head. So I was like, oh, I haven't listened to that. So I throw on Apple Music, and I'm walking to work, and I'm listening to "Do You Realize," and I started thinking about the fact that like Winona just sort of like, you know, when I put her down, she like kind of crawled away and kind of did her own thing. And I'm like, wow, we're like kind of in this new phase. Like, it's like it got here so quick. Like, she's in daycare. Like, just yesterday, literally, it was like our old life was like just the three of us. And now there's this sort of like next phase of her life that came before I knew it. And sort of the enormity of life and the fact that it doesn't stop. And then like just like picturing her sort of like acclimating so well. Like, I just started to get very welled up with emotion as I was walking to work. And I was wearing my sunglasses. And when he gets to the line about how it's like, do you realize that the sun doesn't go down? It's just an illusion caused by the world spinning around. It sort of like had this weird and this is like the rantings of somebody that would be high or something.
It didn't help that you were on shrooms at
Yeah,
the time, right?
exactly. I'm just like, and I was just like, man, I'm like, life doesn't stop. It will always go. It'll always be. It will always like even if I were to be gone, my daughter would continue on. It's like the life, like the world does not end. It continues on, and all of these little events that happen to us, they matter to us individually so much because it's our life. Like, we're writing our own little novels and we're having our own little lives, and these are our moments. And it's like the enormity of the world kind of felt very small all of a sudden because I'm like, it doesn't matter about everything else that's happening that is beyond my control and all the things we argue about, politics, news, all this shit. It's like my daughter had her first day at daycare, and it's like time is going, and I need to slow down and sort of pay more attention to those things. So it was like a heavy morning, and then my eyes were like kind of welling up, and I was streaming as I got to close to work, and then I was like, all right, I need to change this shit up and pull it together because, you know, someone's got to go to work.
And then you threw on DMX as you normally do.
That's how I roll into the office.
Y'all gonna make me lose my mind.
Yeah, I was just like, and then I came in ready to kick some ass at the job. But so that was my experience. But it was nice. And but yeah, anyway.
Very sweet.
Yeah. So
let's get to some topics.
Let's do some topics. We've
because it's actually a good day for topics.
It is a good day for topics. So there's lots of topics, Max. I'm not quite sure exactly what you want to discuss for the topics because there's been a lot going on. Manager Ash was sending stuff. Shaney was sending stuff.
Yeah. So basically, we have a Pod Peeps group, a group chat, and we just throw ideas in there. I know I'm supposed to kind of make the ultimate list, and originally we had this Ariana Grande thing suing Forever 21.
That's correct.
And we had Team Canada basketball and the idea of like what's your allegiance to your country,
yes,
which we can get into. But then the last couple I think were even more interesting that we
came out of nowhere. Like Walmart ends sale of handgun ammunition and asks customers to not carry guns into stores. So that's one.
That's
story.
interesting.
And then DJ Flume.
Yeah, let's start there.
Oh yeah, you just want to dive right in?
I just want to dive right into DJ Flume.
Okay, so the news story coming out of Burning Man. New details emerge on Flume's onstage sex act at Burning Man. So essentially, to sum this up, I guess Aussie DJ Flume,
who's a massive DJ by the way.
He's huge.
Yeah,
he's huge.
He's at the top.
You're telling me you've heard of this guy before, Mike?
No, but I read the story.
Okay.
And they said he had 2 #1 albums. I basically got it. Listen, I'm not hip.
No, that makes me feel better because when you were like, he's huge, I was like, shit, I'm really out of the loop. But
do you not
now
know
that
who
makes
Flume
me-
is?
Of course not. No, Flume.
To be honest, I hardly know who Flume is, but if you go to like Firefly or Way Home or any of these big festivals, his name's at the top of the bill, like next to the Killers. He's like the king of the DJ EDM scene, I think.
I only find out about DJs when Birchall Instagram stories about them. I don't know who anybody is until
when the nut is side stage next to the DJ booth.
Exactly.
At some festival.
We were talking about like demos before at one point at this party last week, and the nut was like, he's like, name one Lizzo song, and I was like, It's like, oh, well, I know who she is. I don't know a song. He's like, exactly. I'm like, okay, calm down.
What was his point?
I wasn't disagreeing with you. We were talking about the MTV Video Music Awards. My thing at this party was I was saying, the MTV Video Music Awards came and went, and it felt like they didn't really make a cultural impact. But when I think back on even a couple years ago, you couldn't go anywhere without seeing it on a bus shelter. Like, it was a huge sort of like pop culture event, and now it doesn't feel like that. So I was just asking, do we feel like the MTV Video Awards are, one, not a huge cultural event because there's so many other sort of media outlets and we're distracted by other things? Two, and I totally said this, I'm like, am I just not reading news in the places that would make this feel like I am out of the demo? Fine, even though we work at a television network.
There's too many events. There's just too much stuff going on. Too many.
There's no monoculture anymore.
Yes. So, but do we agree that it's not as relevant or as big a deal as it was literally even 5 years ago?
100%.
Yeah, it's definitely not, because the way people used to get their entertainment was tuning into the television. Now no one even has
And it was
cable.
the time to see them live. Now every day at my desk I can create my own little award show via YouTube.
Yeah, and so he was I tune in.
And I do. Working hard. Yep.
Yeah. Two people watching the stream. It's me and Kathleen, the Shaniac. So anyway, I feel like his position was essentially, no, you're just out of touch. And I'm like, I don't think it's as relevant. And then that was when he hit me with the Lizzo question.
Yeah, I mean, she's definitely one of the biggest artists in the world. And you probably, if this was 10 years ago, you'd probably know more of the songs.
Name two Lizzo songs right now.
Truth Hurts, and I actually love the record. Juice.
There you go.
Nice. Okay.
But to your point, if this was 10 years ago and the way that we were fed, entertainment, it would have hit us all. But now it's I don't know. Are we not consuming it in the right spots? Is my Twitter feed so sort of
basketball heavy? Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And I completely concede that that's absolutely maybe the case. But I also stand by my assertion that the MTV Video Music Awards don't mean nearly as much as they used to, which I don't think is some revolutionary statement.
Yeah. No.
But he seemed a little bit defensive about the whole thing.
I think for someone to be famous, they have to pass the mom test. If your mom knows who Justin Bieber is a phenomenon.
I just feel like there's going to be less of those moving forward.
That's what we're saying.
Yeah.
So it's not the Birchall's just thinking that Mike's out of touch. It's just that things are way more idiosyncratic these days.
Yeah, totally. And it's just for a singer, for instance, to have a transcendent hit, it means it's hard to do that. Lil Nas X with Old Town Road is maybe the only example I can think of. You know that song?
No.
You don't know that
I'm
song?
a little out of touch.
That one you should know.
What's that?
I'm gonna take my horse to
Billy Ray
Old Town
Cyrus
Road.
Yes.
Lil Nas.
So that song's about having sex with a girl?
Well, he just came out as gay.
Yeah,
so.
that's the hugest story. So Lil Nas, his song was number one. It is the longest number one song. It broke Mariah Carey's record. This is literally the biggest.
By the way, this is so funny that we're explaining this is the pop culture aficionado.
No, I do know this song. I just didn't know his name.
My point remains.
But regardless of his sexual orientation, that song is about having sex with someone in a hotel room, right? Because I see a bunch of little kids singing this song all the time, and I'm like, I wonder if they know what it's about.
I don't know. But
riding a horse and riding all night long.
Yeah, that sounds about
sex stuff.
Yeah. Also, the big story we're really getting off on tangents right now. Yeah. But the big story with Lil Nas is that he kind of came out of nowhere. Country. I think we might have talked about this on a pod, or we considered talking about it on a pod. I remember it was a potential issue that the country music community was like, "This isn't a country song," and most people were like, "You guys are just being racist because it's a black guy singing it." And then Billy Ray Cyrus jumped on the song as a guest feature. Says, "Oh, you don't think it's a country song? Now it's a country song." And he kind of celebrated the fact that it's a great song. It should be celebrated in country music. And then he started on this number one streak where he ended up being number one for the longest running time ever. And Taylor Swift put out a song from her new record, and she didn't get to number one because Lil Nas actually
couldn't knock him off the perch.
So all this stuff was happening, and he became one of the biggest stars in the world. And he tweeted, this was at the end of July, he wrote, "Wow, man, last year I was sleeping on my sister's floor, had no money, struggling to get plays on my music, suffering from daily headaches. Now I'm gay."
Wow. Billy Ray with the bomb. No, I know. But did you know that Achy Breaky Heart is a cover song?
No, is it?
And that was his big claim to fame.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been able to pull that. A cover, or someone wrote it for him?
It's a cover song.
Like someone released it previously.
Yes, and
Crazy.
so he's a very opportunistic guy.
It's just savvy. Anyway, the reason why we bring this all up is that Flume played a set at Burning Man.
DJ Flume performed oral sex on girlfriend Paige Elkington during Burning Man performance. So I guess Mr. Flume was on stage. There was a sign in the crowd that said, "Does Flume eat beep?"
Ass.
Sure, I don't know.
Kidding, Mike, come on. But eating ass is considered oral sex? I didn't know that. Well, now it makes sense now. I've just never heard it that way.
He's using his mouth.
I know. It makes sense now. I'm just thinking aloud here. Because I've never heard someone saying, like, if I was like, could you perform oral sex on me? And the girl went behind me. I'd be like, what's going on? You know? It's a thing too, Shane. You didn't know that?
You need to be more specific.
Get with the times, Grandpa.
Do you even know a Lizzo song?
But anyway, do you know what Burning Man is, Shane?
Yeah, it's like where a bunch of hippies go out there in the sand and they do acid.
Yeah.
Burning Man is actually the nut from this past weekend. That's what Burning Man is.
Good work. Good
Thank
callback.
you. We're going to post that photo on Instagram of Birchall completely burnt. So anyway, I guess he sees this sign and he decides to go for it on stage with his girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And so he...
Wait, he saw a sign?
Yeah, a sign on the crowd said, like, eat ass Flume. I think.
It wasn't... I think the sign said, "Does DJ Flume eat ass?" And then so to answer the question, he either simulated oral sex as his...
No, he
No,
did
you've
it.
seen the video, right?
I didn't watch the video. I read the article. Clearly, Shane watched the video and didn't read the
No,
article.
I couldn't find it. I couldn't find the video. I looked for
So
it.
Diplo posted it on, and Diplo has
Show
millions
me.
of followers, and he basically did a recap of his time at Burning Man. And like it starts with like it's a swipe, so it's like it starts with a photo of Diplo in the desert and him standing next to people dressed funny. You're going through a big crowd. He's DJing. It's an aerial shot. You keep swiping,
Whoa.
and there is Flume doing his thing. It was just a very short clip, but yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. It kind of looks like Beck Bennett from SNL. Mm-hmm. I'm sure they'll make fun of this on us. Who knows? Maybe it's not a big enough story.
But she was wearing underwear.
Yeah.
Oh, she was.
She was.
Okay.
You didn't read the article.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
But I guess my question is, I was more just interested in what you guys think about Burning Man, because originally I think that
Wait, that was the takeaway?
It's a roundabout way of getting to what do you think of Burning Man?
Well, no, I mean, no. The reason why I bring it up is that this was filmed, and I thought the policy of Burning Man was no phones. This is some sort of like bohemian festival where we don't engage in the modern world, and you build your own communities up, and then you tear them down at the end, and you don't
If
leave any
someone's
trash.
eating butt on stage, I think there's an exception to that rule.
But I would feel like lots of butt eating goes on at Burning Man.
this is
I
it.
know, but on stage in front of people, like this wasn't private butt eating.
But I feel like they're like, because like to Max's point, it's sort of like this loose, debaucherous, like there are no rules. I'm sure there's been sex acts on stage in the past. I could be wrong. Maybe
No, because that's what I've heard about Burning Man. Like some people like walk around naked, and people just do freaky stuff. It's like the Berlin nightclub.
yeah.
Exactly. Which
It was like no phone policy.
where you frequent.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, one time. Yeah.
So okay. So
But
what's
now
the
it just
question?
feels like to me, it
They've
just feels
ruined
like
the essence?
Well, it just feels like Coachella because it's just like rich, famous Instagram people just going there to show off that they went to Burning Man. I think it's impossible to get a ticket too. Like they sell out immediately, and it's just a very exclusive thing. And it's become less of like an idealistic like bohemian community and more of just a place for people to go.
Well, I think
show
the
off on
cell
Instagram.
phone reception was always notoriously bad, but now it's improved so that that rule has kind of like been cheated on so many times.
It
that it's
wasn't
like,
even.
fuck it.
It wasn't a rule. It was like a necessity. Like it
Yeah.
was like, no, this is our culture. But it's like actually you just don't have another choice.
Yeah, they don't have
There's no
cell phone
service, yeah.
towers. Yeah.
So is the question? What do we think of like these sort of?
Is the integrity of Burning Man ruined now?
Do you think it's possible even to have like super sort of like private events of this magnitude where like people don't pull out their cell phones and everything is lived online now?
Yeah, it's pretty hard, and also it's like anything that this happens with anything that's like kind of like cool or has like a unique spirit is that like people end up wanting to go and then ruin it basically. Because I bet you there's some people that have been going to Burning Man for a long time that go, oh fuck, Diplo's here fucking with his phone out. I bet you like there's some purists that are at Burning Man that are very annoyed at all of this.
I guarantee you there's somewhere where there's a bunch of dudes from the 90s that used to go to Burning Man are like, yeah, man, that festival's dead. Like,
yeah,
it was over in 2005 when Fred Durst showed up to party. You know, like that happens with everything. Though. Everything cycles out generationally.
Can I use my my joke?
Yeah,
that I used in the text.
Oh, yeah.
Because I didn't know we were going to talk about this topic.
Oh, I just got the joke right now.
Really?
Why'd you say save it for the pod then? I thought, okay.
Because I thought there's a larger story to it.
Okay, Max, do you think that's the first time he's ever performed on crack? Still works.
Yeah. Still good. I literally thought he did crack at Burning Man.
Well, they talked to the woman that held up the sign as well in the article, which you highlighted.
Oh, yeah. This happens all the time. It happened the other day with you on the boat.
Yep.
Accidental puns gets into your subconscious, and you can't help but make a pun. In fact, even today, a guy wanted us to talk about the Canadian basketball story. Yeah. I said, "Don't worry, we're already going to talk about it." He goes, "Way to stay on the ball." He wasn't even trying to do that. But Mike, do you want to read the quote? Do you have it handy?
Yes, I do have it handy. So Shane screen grabbed a part of the article and sent it along, and this was a quote from the woman who held up the sign that was the catalyst for him to go into his girlfriend's bum. She added...
It's a great sentence. It was the catalyst to go into his girlfriend's bum.
She added... He's a really awesome guy. I wish him the best, and I really hope that this doesn't negatively affect him. That would make me really bummed.
Good work.
I mean, I
but
don't know.
This happens all the time. Like once you start looking for it, you'll never stop looking for it, and it always happens. Like accidental pun.
Oh wow! Because I've never done an intentional pun. I wish I was smart enough to do it, but
maybe you didn't even get the crack one.
Yeah, no, it didn't.
Yeah. So Flume is not on crack as far as we know. It was a butt joke.
It was just a butt joke.
Somebody listening right now just went, oh. Okay, so let's quickly do Canada basketball.
Yeah.
All you need to know is that the World Cup is happening right now, and basically if you make a certain, I don't know what the seeding is, but if you make it to the top, whatever, you get to go to the 2020 Olympics. This is important for Canada because they're not automatically in the 2020 Olympics. Everybody wants to play in the Olympics. That's the sort of tournament that matters, but you have to play in these sort of summer tournaments now
to qualify.
But what has happened is in North America, and in Canada, all of the top NBA players who are American and Canadian have basically dropped out. They don't want to go over there and play in this qualifying
It's
tournament.
in China. Some of the exhibition games were in Australia. It's a lot of travel.
So it's 2 weeks in Australia, then 2 weeks in China, and it's you're a month away in your summer, and then you got to go back and do the NBA, et cetera, et cetera. All the other nations, whether it's Lithuania or Argentina or Spain, all Marc Gasol, center of the Raptors, is 34 years old, I believe. He just won a championship, played longer than a lot of guys in the NBA, and he's suiting up for Spain because he's my country. Basically, the national pride and showing up to play for your country means a lot to these other countries. What we've seen in the States and in Canada is all of the big names haven't. They're not going over there. They don't want to do it this summer. They're almost when the Olympics get here, maybe I'll jump in.
That sounds like fun, but for now, I don't want to do it.
So the problem for Canada is the States are fine. They'll qualify. They're in no matter what.
They have such a deep talent pool.
The problem for Canada is it's we might we're probably not. I don't know. There's gonna be a last minute we didn't qualify this time, but we're gonna have another tournament next summer. We'll see if guys show up. So anyway, I guess my question is, and I said it wouldn't be long, but that was a little bit long. Is what is your obligation as a Canadian, as a wealthy NBA player? Do you feel obligated to play for your national team? Because, obviously growing up here and identifying as Canadian and all that stuff, does it matter? Or should you be more concerned about, say, getting rest in the summer, training properly, don't risk injury in the international game, securing endorsements, whatever it is that is your business? Should you focus on that, or should you forego a lot of those things and sort of sacrifice for your country?
Well, have you seen, of course you've seen this, what's the guy's name? His leg split in half.
Paul George. Playing for Team USA.
Exactly. So if you're Nike and you sign this huge deal and it's for the NBA, and then all of a sudden this guy goes to play in Ice Cube's 3-on-3 league, or he goes to represent Canada, and the court's a little bit different. Like in that game, they have a stanchion under the net, which is, so if you're dunking, it was
closer in the international game than it was in the NBA.
And this guy Paul George, when he was playing for USA, he broke his leg in half.
Yep.
And that would not have happened had he abstained from that. So, yeah, I don't, because of injuries, I say, why risk it? and let's use this as an opportunity for up and comers to kind of get their shot. I don't think NBA players should really even be allowed. As much as I like to see them, I love the dream team, all that stuff. It's more exciting, but it also doesn't seem like it's giving Olympic athletes a chance to kind of shine.
I totally get that argument, and I think there's merit to it. And that's probably the argument that most of the Canadian guys are going. It's like, look, I don't want to injure myself. I got to get ready for the NBA season. That's all fair. The only thing I'd counter it with is that it's like every athlete who goes to the Olympics, it goes, oh, one of the greatest honors and life experiences is getting to represent my country in the Olympics. And the thing which is really short-sighted for a lot of these Canadian guys, I feel, is that it's like, hey, it's totally cool if you don't want to go to Australia and China this year for this qualifying thing. Of course, objectively, it's a fucking pain in the ass. But we have a smaller talent pool, and if you want that life experience to go to the Olympics, one of the greatest joys of your life, according to every fucking person that's been there.
It's only the greatest joy of your life if there's not a professional league that celebrates it. Like for a gymnast or other thing, yeah, that's the pinnacle.
No, but like
he's saying that's what these people say.
I think
Barkley
NBA
and Jordan, these guys have all said how the Olympics was this seminal experience in their lives, and LeBron.
Yeah, like every NBA guy that's like achieved the highest highs also goes, oh yeah, the Olympic experience was incredible. And so it's just like, I think, yeah, it's short-sighted that it's like, listen, I totally get that you would probably go next year to Tokyo to play for Team Canada, but you have to do this if you want that experience. Mm-hmm. And for as long as our Canadian guys are not showing up, I feel like a real like sports talk radio guy.
I know.
It's like for these qualifying events, we're never going to have the experience of rooting for them in the Olympics. It's as simple as that.
If you're getting interviewed and they're like, how was the Olympic experience? And all you've ever heard is people on the mic saying how great it is. What are you going to say? It was okay. It was kind of annoying, though. I mean,
I think there's a lot of camaraderie. You're in Barcelona. Like I
agree,
it.
But let's say you had a bad time. Are you going to say it wasn't one of the best experiences?
They don't go back. It's happened. When they lost, when Larry Brown was the coach, guys were like, this is the worst. When it was that Allen Iverson team, LeBron, and those guys were rookies.
Yeah. Well, because they grew up watching the Dream Team and the Dream Team doc, and that was amazing because it was kind of unprecedented. Because before it was a rule that NBA players weren't allowed to play. Yeah. So it was just this awesome thing, like basically a glorified all-star game where guys are just alley-ooping to the best players in the world. That is fun. It's when you're in Canada and you're like, we're probably going to get our ass kicked.
No, but I did this basketball panel a couple weeks ago for Team Canada. It was Hoop Talks, and Nick Nurse, who's the coach of the Raptors, he was on the panel because he's coaching Team Canada. Glenn Grunwald, Rowan Barrett, RJ's dad, was there. And Rowan Barrett was like, yeah, playing for Team Canada in 2000, the last time they made the Olympics in Sydney, was incredible. Like And that team didn't even medal, but they all remember that experience as like being special. But sorry,
I was just gonna say the other thing too is like for guys like DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry, like not everybody gets to compete for championships like LeBron James. So LeBron James has got, but like Carmelo Anthony has only ever won gold medals. Guys like DeMar DeRozan and Paul George, the reason that they talk about the Olympic experience is because like that ends up being sort of like this achievement that sort of defines their career because not everybody gets to be the Golden State Warriors or whomever, right?
It's cool to have on a resume, and I get the USA team I'm putting in a completely different category than like a Canadian basketball team because really the American team, they kind of just play like the Globetrotters, and then when they're down by 2 points, they turn on the Jets and they win the game.
Not anymore. They almost lost to.
I know because they're not really trying the same level.
And their roster's not as good. But here's the thing. The other thing I'd say is like back to my argument about like why experiences and camaraderie are the most like deeply gratifying things to have as humans is that it's like you ask the guys that play for France or Spain or Lithuania or Argentina. And they because they've been a part of it for so long, they've built up these relationships with the coaches and the players. It's like Jonas Valanciunas. He plays every year. Valanciunas.
He's Italian, right?
Yeah.
Jonas Valanciunas. He's played for the last 13 seasons for his national team.
Yeah, and he loves it. And it's just a bummer to me that these Canadian guys don't feel the connection to the basketball program.
It's just celebrated way different, though, too. Over there, he's a god, and he parties like crazy after those games.
Yeah, and listen, we could have that in Canada if people decided to get on board. But the issue is that the culture, the basketball culture...
People do that for the Raptors, though. They don't have an NBA team over there, so that is their NBA, is the Olympics.
I totally get it. I'm just saying that we have the talent... To build something special, but nobody wants to show up to the party. It's like we could be throwing this awesome party, but when people go, I'd rather stay home and play video games, as opposed to like going to this party and having great conversations and having a night to remember. Everyone just goes, I'd rather just sort of hang out by myself.
Okay,
at
so
home.
Lowry goes there.
Yeah.
And let's say Kawhi is still on the Raptors
Yeah.
next year. Kawhi goes there too. Kawhi gets a terrible injury, career threatening. You still going to think it's worth it? Or are you going to be like, why'd you do that, Kawhi? You have
That's
a
the
history.
argument against it.
Yeah, totally. Well, and one of the questions, again, we're getting really deep into this stuff, and I want to kind of make it a little wider in a second here. But on the panel that I helped co-host, I asked Rowan Barrett, I said, like, is it in part, like, is participation has it declined in part because a lot of our best basketball players as high school students go to America, to these prep schools, and just don't feel the sense of community? And he said, yes, that's exactly part of it, because we need our guys to help recruit other guys. Like, we need them to feel a part of the culture here, so when it comes time for them to play for Team Canada when they're 23, that they've been playing with the same guy in the same program since they were 13. And I said, hey, we've been talking about this for years. Let's fucking do it. They need to recruit each other. And that hasn't quite happened yet. But
name roster, all the big NBA names were on there. Jamal Murray, Shai, all these guys. And then everybody started dropping out slowly. And then Nick is like, okay, I guess this is what it is. I'll be very fascinated to see if he stays on for next summer with the last-ditch effort tournament. And there's still a chance for all of these guys, these NBA guys, to go, let's go do this one. This is our last shot. But people are saying if they don't show up for that one and they don't qualify for the 2020 Olympics, the program could be in big trouble.
Yeah.
Want to move on?
Yeah, sure.
Doesn't bother you guys? Guys not playing for their national team?
No, I'm kind of bummed. It does bother me. I mean, as much as something in sports could bother me.
Yeah, I where you land.
I just think it's too risky.
Right.
But these guys play all summer long anyway.
They're playing all sorts of weird games.
It's like
At least these guys are pros that they're playing with.
I don't know. Just basketball's such an. I guess every sport is. Anytime a guy jumps, I'm scared of his landing. How it's going to be. As a person who's like sprained his ankle terribly, broken his ankle just recently playing basketball, like I don't know. It's a very scary sport to play.
Quickly, what do you guys think? I was just thinking about like national pride and things we would do for our country. Have we talked about the draft, like the war draft, before?
Briefly.
Oh, we're dodging it like crazy. Are you kidding? No one's going to that. I don't want to kill anyone.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
you wouldn't do it, Mike.
No, I mean, well, I've said this before. It depends on the conflict. Like,
we've talked about.
I've talked about it. Like, it depends on the conflict. If there's like an imminent danger, like
I just say kill me.
Right.
Next subject.
Yeah. All right. So Ariana, keeping it moving. Ariana Grande.
I just said kill me.
And her people are suing Forever 21. In short, the Forever 21 tried to broker a deal with her to sort of be the face of Forever 21, do some sort of ad sponsorship deal. And I guess they didn't come with the proper amount of money, so they're saying they did not offer us a price that is commensurate with someone of Ariana Grande's celebrity and stature. So they said no to the deal. Forever 21 then ended up just shooting, I guess, an ad with a girl who looked very similar to Ariana Grande with the exact same sort of hair
ponytail thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what's the angle here? Oh, so Ariana, they're suing them saying, hey, we didn't do the deal with you, so you just hired a lookalike? Well, that doesn't fly either.
What do you think, Maxie? Like, let's say this scenario comes to you, Roots Canada's like, you're a great ambassador.
And then they get a lookalike, Shawn Mendes, to be the
exactly.
Vance Joy?
Yeah. No, actually, Shawn Mendes is doing a collaboration with Roots.
Oh, I think I saw that somewhere. Yeah.
Would you be like, Manager Ash, we got to sue their ass?
Yeah, I've talked about this before when it comes to like rich people and their business affairs and like the things they choose to care about. Like, it's just, I guess that's why you have, people on your team just like looking after you because on one hand it's like, who gives a shit? But on the other hand, I guess the sneaky part is that they've already like had this negotiation.
Yeah.
Like, so like let's say somebody wanted to like license an Arkell song for a commercial and they were like, all right, the fee is whatever the fee is. And they're like, we don't want to pay that much money. And then they just like do like a rip-off song, like if
Pleather Jacket.
Yeah, exactly. And that they just recreated for $50, but sounds pretty close. That would be a bummer.
That happened a couple years ago to one of your songs. Not that you were offered up front, but that they just ripped you off, a guy who sounded exactly like you was in a commercial.
So and the thing is, in music, this happens all the time, where it's like the Vance Joy song is like the biggest like sound of the summer, like that's whatever his big song was a few years ago, and then you hear in every commercial a song with a ukulele and like a bouncy melody or whatever. And it's just because nobody could pay, or not nobody, but a lot of companies wouldn't be able to pay for the rights to that song, so they just get some musician to write a rip-off song. So it happens. So I think the mistake for Forever 21 is that they went into the negotiation with Ariana Grande in the first place. They should have just known that they couldn't have afforded her.
And just and then shot the images with the girl that looked like her. It's like it's inspired by.
Yeah, or just go, oh, it's just a coincidence.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think that's what they should have done. They fucked up on that tip.
Right. So the point is, if you're going to emulate, it's like don't go into a negotiation.
No. Yeah.
Or if the negotiation fails, you got to change direction.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. You got to rip off Lizzo or something.
Right. What's the line between inspired by and stealing? Like, what's the line there?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I think when you offer someone something, they say no, and then you just steal it. That is the line, right?
Yeah,
because otherwise you just say, "Oh, this was inspired by."
Yeah. That's all great art is inspired by, unless you did the negotiation.
Yeah,
this should be taught in a business class, guys.
Yeah.
Well, it's like Tarantino does this. He wears his inspirations on his sleeve. So before anyone can say like, "Oh, he's just ripping off this, this, and this," he'll say in an interview, "Oh, Kill Bill. I just absolutely took it from this film, and he'll get it all out there so people can be like, oh, it's such an homage.
Yeah.
Whereas if it was under the cover of darkness, it would be like he's such a rip-off artist.
Yeah.
You do that though. Sorry.
Yeah. With songs, I'd be like, oh, this part was totally inspired, or that lyric is taken from there. I'm like very upfront about it in a Tarantino kind of way. But oftentimes, the song has to become really massive for anybody to go through the hassle of like litigation. But when people don't own up to stuff, they can get sued. Like Sam Smith got sued by Tom Petty for Free Fallin'.
No, for Won't Back Down.
Won't Back Down. That's right.
Yeah, Stay With Me and Won't Back Down were like the same melody.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And sort of like phrasing and anyway.
What was the Robin Thicke song that?
Blurred Lines.
Yeah, that guy got fucked too.
Yeah, that was a precedent-setting lawsuit because I think that kind of changed the paradigm. That it's like because it was sort of just inspired by. I listened to the Marvin Gaye thing. It didn't sound that close to me, but because I think Robin Thicke lost the case, that's gonna like change the landscape of people suing each other.
Coldplay also with Viva La Vida. If you listen to those back to back, it's them and some guy from like the 80s or 90s. I can't remember.
Oh yeah.
But it's like the string piece is it. Like I'm like I get it. Like I'm like if I'm that guy, I'm like wait a second, this is crazy.
You ever hear "Straight to Hell" by The Clash?
Yeah.
And Paper Planes.
So that's
I guess that's sampling, right? That's different.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah, that's like the Mo Money Mo Problems. It's like if I'm Diana Ross, I am living.
Well, that's hip hop. Because they came up front about it, right? And they were like, "We're sampling this," and I guess that's the difference.
Yep. Yeah. Totally. Okay, those are our thoughts on that. It's time for Shame's surprise.
Yeah. What do you got?
Well, I screwed up because I'm supposed to keep all my surprise as a surprise. But I got all excited when you were in the Pod Peeps asking for topics. So I
you already used your crack joke.
No, it's not the crack joke. You forget everything. You got like a mind like a squirrel, Max. So I think Mike also has a little bit of a celebrity crush on Margaret Qualley.
Yeah, that'd be fair.
So and I'm in the like growing up, I had the biggest crush on Andie MacDowell,
who's Margaret Qualley's mother.
Oh, I just saw her, Andie MacDowell, in a movie. She was in Ready or Not. Anyway, sorry.
Really?
Yeah.
Sorry. But Mike broke the news to me like a month and a half ago or something that that was Andie MacDowell's daughter, and she's in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And I was like, oh my God. And she's in this amazing Spike Jonze directed commercial where she's this awesome dancer. Like you've seen it's a perfume commercial.
Yeah, I feel like in my
incredible
message group with your brother and Dan, that commercial's been referenced like 6 times.
Yeah, she's a great performer. She's in that show The Leftovers, which I was a huge fan of The Leftovers, and she just sort of evolved into this sort of person that is like now sort of considered a really sort of elite actor, I think, especially getting in a Tarantino film.
So then I'm just on the internet and I see a picture of Pete Davidson holding hands with her.
Yep.
And I didn't know how to feel about it. You know, like I messaged Mike.
You didn't know how to feel about it. I was walking with Danica and the baby, and I get a text from Shane, and I explode laughing. And Danica goes, "What?" And I go, he sent me a photo of Pete Davidson and Margaret Qualley, and he just said, "Fuck this world." I don't know how to feel about it.
Well, maybe then I rethought about it.
Yeah.
And so I had this question for you based off that. Okay, so Pete Davidson's on like an amazing run for dating unbelievably attractive women.
Yeah.
So do you think that dating hotter women begets dating more hot women? Like he started with Larry David's daughter.
Oh, yeah.
And then that kind of got the ball rolling.
Yeah.
And then
Cassie David.
Cassie David, who I find very, very attractive and very funny. And then he went to
Ariana Grande.
I was going to call her the girl from the
Forever 21.
Yeah. I got confused. And then he went to Kate Beckinsale. Now he's with the best woman ever in Margaret Qualley. So do you think that that's a thing to put on a pedestal as the looks, or is Pete Davidson's amazing personality the thing to have on the pedestal?
Ooh, okay. I got a couple thoughts here. Or you can go first if you want.
You're scared to answer this question.
No, I'm into it.
I would just say that I think like with anything, it's like it's like vetting the. It's more about less so about the attractiveness of the women. It's about the character of Pete Davidson in the sense of this. It's like anything. It's like Pete must be like a cool guy if he can get somebody that everybody assumes is super special. So it's like working with like a producer. It's like, oh, that Taylor Swift worked with that guy? Well, then he must be great. I think what happens is you start. It almost like verifies you in a weird way. It vets you.
Yes.
I think the Pete Davidson thing is really interesting because typically, if there's like a Hollywood actor, who's a good-looking, like Liam,
Tom Hardy,
or who's dating Miley Cyrus, one of those guys,
Liam Hemsworth.
Yeah,
Liam Hemsworth.
Yeah, and they went on a run of dating a bunch of beautiful women. You'd be like, yeah, totally makes sense. The thing which is weird about Pete Davidson is that I think us guys do not think he's good looking, do not get it. Other than that, like, sure, he's like tall and sure he's got a good sense of humor, but like it doesn't make sense that a guy that looks like him would go on a run like that. But Lauren loves Pete Davidson. Like women seem to, and it's just like for us it's like what, there's a disconnect there.
But a lot of women too, they'll acknowledge that he's not attractive or maybe traditionally attractive, and maybe there's something about him, but maybe they wouldn't have dated him until Cassie David verified him, like Mike said. And I think once that first person breaks the ice, it's like, oh yeah, I actually do find him very attractive. But if that didn't happen, he would just be like the kind of ugly guy who you have this weird crush on that you'd never act on.
Shan, I'm not saying that you're like Pete Davidson.
I was going to say I am like Pete Davidson.
Yeah, because I'm sure your mind went there too. Because I feel like you've been, like all your past girlfriends have been very beautiful. And I feel like you pitted them all up against each other to the last one. Where it's like, oh, did you see my last girlfriend? Did you see my last girlfriend?
No. Get out of here. Yeah. Here's why I do that. Here's why I do that.
Please, that is insulting. Here's the thing. This is why I take that approach.
I never. No, but here's why I have a chip on my shoulder. Okay. Is that what it's called? Chip on the shoulder?
Yeah. Chip on your shoulder, girl on your arm. Go on.
Yeah. So, okay. So when I was younger, like, in elementary school, I was considered like the hot guy of elementary school.
Yeah, you were. Okay.
I was, yeah. Why are you shocked at that?
No, go ahead.
And then all of
Who's
a sudden...
that grade 3? All the teachers. I was considered the hot kid of elementary school.
No, I mean grade 8, 7, 8, when you start having those tingly feelings.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden puberty hits, and then I'm like the ugliest guy in school. So I'm like, geez, my great opportunity to date was grade 7 and 8. And that was when I was trying to be too picky. I was like, I'll decide in high school who I want to date. But then I really didn't have any great opportunities. So I'm like, well, if I can't have all these great women, I'm just going to hold out and almost have like an air of mystery about me, and maybe that will lure people in. And then I got a girlfriend when I was like, almost 19. And it was a girl that a lot of people liked. She was popular, attractive, all that stuff. And then everyone started saying to me, like, girls would come up and be like, Shane, you can never do better than that. I was like, that's a very rude thing to say, Then, I get broken up with. And then my next girlfriend, they're like, oh, Shane, you'll never do better. I'm like, really? And then we break up and get someone else. And then it keeps happening and happening. And then even my last girlfriend, now I'm at the age of like, I'm like 30. I go to I'm 31. I go to a wedding, and the wedding guest comes up to me and just goes, "You will never do better than Alex." And I'm like, really? And I agree with this one. I agree because Alex also, she has a really great personality, and I'm like, at this point when I'm 31, I'm thinking that's so rude, because she said it to Alex too, in front of her. It just put Alex's looks in this weird category that made her insecure. Because one, she's like, Shane, what is wrong with you? Like, people actually, and this wasn't just like this public instance. People were DMing Alex too and telling her that, like, behind my back. Like, she's like, all these weird girls keep messaging me who know you, saying like I'm way too good for you and everything. I was like,
God.
I was like, okay, but they all equate it to her looks, and I'm like, then she gets very self-conscious that once her looks fades, the relationship's over.
Yeah.
Which is not true, because Alex, she has a 10 out of 10 personality and looks, but it was just, I was just imagine I walked up to a woman, like imagine I walked up to Lauren and was like, you'll never do better than Max. Like, it wouldn't be some like uncle-esque little joke.
Yeah, no, definitely mean. But
Yeah.
but back to the original question.
And this girl wasn't saying it the way like an uncle would tease you, like, you'll never do better than this broad, Shaney boy. Like, it was actually meant to like hurt me. So anyway, that's why I feel the way I do, where I'm like, hey, they keep getting hotter, eh, boys? Like, because I'm so self-conscious now that I always want to think I could still get someone.
Yeah, I was going to say, you intuitively have done the thing that Pete Davidson's done. You learn from a young age.
I know,
just get the first one, and then the rest will come.
And I do think what Mike is saying, the verification thing, is absolutely true. But after I messaged like "fuck this world" to Mike, I was kind of like, oh, why am I hating on him? Like,
I am him.
yeah, like he paved the way kind of for people like me and the future generations.
He's a
of people who
trailblazer.
try this. But I will also say,
Or maybe you paved the way for him.
but I wasn't famous. He's doing it in a public forum, so someone who's going through this in high school can maybe like have hope. But then I'm thinking, but then I'm thinking, is looks like the only thing that matters? Because looks are like the first thing to go. Your personality is like the thing that will carry you into your old age. Like, looks don't even matter that much. So maybe I'm the catch with the great personality. You know what I mean? So why aren't
You've truly got it all.
No, I'm not saying I have looks, but I'm saying maybe personality is the better thing to covet. So why aren't people going up to Alex?
I don't think that's a revolutionary thought, bro. I think that's
You've got this great revelation. It's like, guys, I figured out the key.
personality matters.
Oh, you laugh, but every woman will tell you different when they walk up to Alex. They'll be like, oh, he's so lucky. They don't even know her. They're just basing it on her beauty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mike on Much can be found on Twitter and Instagram at Mike on Much. You can subscribe to the show on any platform that has podcasts. Spotify, do it.